Right, good evening, welcome, 9 o'clock, and with AGG live time, as the sign says. Thanks for joining me. We're talking Titleist tonight. Titleist AP1s, AP2s, so we got some pictures here. We're talking AP1s, we're talking AP2s, we're talking everything else like the CBs, we're talking MBs. We haven't actually got the TMBs in here, the studio, but we are talking about them. And I've also got the hybrids with me as well. So it's a very exciting evening. Titleist launched yesterday with 716 range. So it's going to be fun. We've got special guests as well, which we're going to dive into pretty quickly because they've been slightly distracted by a certain football match that they are kind of watching and want to watch as well. Now, if you like the video, if you're liking the AGG live stuff, remember to hit the thumbs up on the YouTube player. Hit the thumbs up button, give it the thumbs up. YouTube likes it if you thumb the video up. So make sure you give it a like and post comments. We've got the chat room in front of me, as always. Evening from Adam Barnes, hello. Where do we get a refund for the delay? Well, I was on time. There is a slight delay coming through to you. We want Buzzers clubs. They are made of wood. From Vicky. Yes, I've heard he's done a video with some old clubs as well. So that chat room's going off next to the video on YouTube. And we've also got, as ever, the Twitter feed, which I'm just going to refresh here. That's coming through as well. So it's going to be a fun evening. We're talking 716. Let's give you a quick show here. Let's show the most popular one, I would say. So this is what AP2 here, which lots of people are very keen on. This one is one of the most popular clubs, I think, that Titleist make. So we're going to be talking in depth about that as well. We've got some questions. We've got a couple of viewers' pictures also. I love you, Mark. CR7HG, I love you also. Should we get straight into the special guest? Let's get into the special guest. Let's see if I can get him to answer. And we'll get him to talk us through a little bit of the 716 stuff, shall we? Let's see if we can get him to answer. Like I say, he is distracted a little bit with some certain football match. But let's see if he is going to pick up. Hello, special guest. Is that Jordan Spieth on the line?
Well, unfortunately, it's not Lockie. I apologise for that. Not Lockie, not Suzanne Peston.
No, it's Richard from Titleist. Anyone who's watched my videos, we've seen Richard on a few of them. What actually is your title, Richard? I never know your exact position. I do know you know a lot about product, but what's your actual position?
My position is golf club product and fitting manager.
Yeah, I thought that's cool. Excellent. You say it better than I would have kind of hashed that out wrong. So we're going to dive straight in, Richard. Thanks for your time. What's the score in the football, actually?
I don't know. I'm not watching it live, so don't say anything.
Okay, right. Which team are you supporting?
I'm not saying.
Okay.
Might involve some bias.
Yeah, that's a very wise decision to not say. So look, let's start then. We're going to just go through the iron range to start, and if you can tell us a little bit about what's happening for 716, maybe over 714, and what the good people might get from the new range. So we're looking at AP1 to start us off. Give us a little quick brief overview of AP1.
Okay, so AP1 is, as we're going to call it, our longest, most forgiving Titleist iron. It's really a product for players seeking maximum distance and forgiveness. And how it differs from 714 generation is we found ways to make it faster, to make it more forgiving, to give it more distance and more forgiveness.
Okay.
So there's a couple of technologies in there that have really elevated AP1 forward, and we think this is a huge opportunity for us. The product is a big step forward, and we're pretty excited by it.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. And it's got extra tungsten, I think, in the back, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've done a couple of things really to make AP1 as good as it is this time around. We've gone with what we call a 360-degree undercut cavity. So we've taken away the support bar that was in the back of the face, made it an unsupported face. It's a little bit thinner. As a result of which it's going to flex more, it's going to be a little bit faster for more speed. We've changed the material we use for that, for strength. Again, that because we can thin it out, that's going to help us both in terms of speed and in launch. because we've been able to get rid of some of the weight from the face bar, if you like, we've been able to move weight lower and more into the perimeter.
Okay.
And we do that primarily with this tungsten that you talk about, which is placed as low as we can put it in the toe of the long and mid irons, which gets the CG a little bit lower, getting us a much better launch angle, all of which has enabled us to actually strengthen the loft just a little bit, which gives us a bit more speed for even more distance.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Sorry, you carry on.
Because the tungsten's out there in the perimeter of the product, it's going to improve the MOI properties of it. So we're getting it faster, we're going to get more distance, and most importantly, for this type of player, we're going to give them more forgiveness.
Certainly, and I've seen the lofts on the club. They are strengthened. They're certainly not as strong as some clubs can get, are they? In the realms of jacking lofts as it goes.
No, I mean our goal is to seek out more distance from technology rather than from just adding length to the shaft or taking loft off the product. Because for this type of player, they struggle to hit the ball consistently in the middle of the club face. They need help.
Yeah.
So by maintaining what we call a standard length for us, pretty much like a tour player's length, and relatively strong loft but not as strong as some, we still get the distance because of the technology, because of the tungsten. We've got 50% more tungsten in this product than we've had before, so it's now about 17% of the total head mass, which is a huge amount of tungsten.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. I mean, when I hit it, I definitely found... it's a kind of iron I could easily game. I actually was surprised to see it when I've been on tour ranges. I've actually seen it in more players' bags than you would expect. I think Philip Price actually being one player I remember seeing used, quite a few hybrids and had AP1s in his bag. I'm sure I saw at an event as well.
Philip Price and Ben Curtis are probably our most notable AP1 players on tour.
Yeah.
It's not really positioned as a tour play product, but that shows you that even the best players are looking for forgiveness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Zach Johnson had an AP1 long iron in his bag, actually used one to win the Open Championship.
Yeah,
so there is a reason for players of that ilk to use it, but for us, this is where our opportunity is. We want to get players of high handicap levels not thinking that Titleist is the type of product that's not for them. We want them to try this, see how good it is, because I think they'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, okay, good. So let's go on to AP2 then. AP2's got to be the most popular club in the out of the four year on year, I would guess, is it?
It is. It's the one we've sold the most of in our market. To be honest, we should sell more AP1, but I think that's just indicative of how popular AP2 is. This is like a tour-proven product. It's used by about a third of our tour players.
Yeah.
It's a forged product that's going to give you tour-proven distance and forgiveness in a forged feel.
Yeah.
The technology within AP2 is just immense. The tungsten that we use in this is about 22% of the head weight. We've added another 25% tungsten into primarily the heel area, but also in the toe area, where we've literally, with our advanced co-forging process, we're able to shape the tungsten right into the perimeter of the golf club. Any further, we'd probably be outside of the golf club right now, but that helps us just improve those MOI properties of a product that was already pretty forgiving. So new AP2 is actually as forgiving as prior generation AP1.
Fantastic.
Pretty staggering.
Yeah, that is.
So,
yeah, that's quite amazing.
The players that use it, tour players alike, they all need a bit more forgiveness. They're all happy to get more forgiveness where it's available. So. Yeah,
absolutely. And AP1, obviously, AP2, not this model actually, but AP2 like this year won 3 or the first 2 majors, basically, didn't it?
We've had AP2's won the first 3 majors, yes.
Sorry.
With Zach Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, obviously, yes. So, I mean, that's quite an amazing stat. I remember tweeting it as it went, actually, that Titleist had a chance of winning the Grand Slam, didn't they, at one point, which was quite amazing. So, should we move... Say that again, sorry?
Yeah, it would have been nice, but plurality has always been our message, especially on the golf course side.
Absolutely. Okay, so if we go on to Titleist CB now... I would argue that Titleist CB is the one out of all of them I've been most excited about, because when I hit it, being someone who's always looking for forgiveness, but I do like, a pretty looking golf club, CB not really been gameable for me in the past. It's a little bit too punishing, but this one felt very different with the weighting that you've put in it.
Yes, I mean it's a traditional player type product, cavity back. modern blade, but we've added a kick to this product by incorporating tungsten in a very similar vein as we do in the AP2.
Yeah.
So for the first time, CB has tungsten, about 55 grams worth of it, so 22% of the overall head mass.
Yeah.
That's just going to give it the type of forgiveness that you would get or normally associate with an AP2 type product.
Okay.
It's a slightly smaller package, a little bit smaller in profile, a little bit shorter blade length, a little bit thinner top line, a little bit less offset. So, you know, it suits a particular type of player who's looking for ultimate shot control and workability. But like I said, with the tour players, anybody who can get more forgiveness out of a golf club isn't going to say no to it. And
Yeah.
we've added about 12% more forgiveness to the properties of the new CB versus 714 generation. So it is a pretty exciting product for us. We don't see this taking over AP2s because they're totally different target audiences. AP2 is a product that's designed for players who are looking for some little bit more forgiveness in their package blade length,
Yeah.
top line offset, etc. But compared to prior generation CB, this is going to provide some players of that ilk with something that they're really going to enjoy.
Yeah, cool, excellent. I mean, it's definitely out the range, the one I was most excited about, I would say, because it was, I mean, it just felt like such a change. So if we then go on to, we've got the MB, which it's funny, if I ever post pictures of MB on social media, it's often the club that gets the most likes. I think the world is kind of saying, please, can I be good enough to hit an MB? And then they go and hit it and they think, oh, actually, my name's not Adam Scott, is it? Maybe I should go back to the AP2.
Yeah, very much so. MBs is always going to be the product that people love the look of, but can they hit it? You know, it's a pure muscle design. This is a bit of a throwback to 680 irons, which we had back in the early noughties, that has a lot of players using it and loving the way that looked. And the R&D team have really taken the new MB forward by sort of going back to that older product, but using computer-aided design modelling to help just provide a more consistent transition from one iron into the next. And the players that are using that product, like Webb Simpson, have really gone on about how good it looks behind the ball. And you know, that high muscle design, the high polish finish to it, it's going to appeal to any type of golfer who loves that traditional blade, but respecting they're not going to get the forgiveness that they would out of any of the other types of irons.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I look down at it. It's probably one of the thinnest irons out of any iron I've tested looking down. Mm-hmm. The top line is like really butter knife thin, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It's a little bit thinner in the top line, a little bit squarer in the toe, a little bit sharper. The transition from tour players, we would have Webb Simpson, Jimmy Walker get into it earlier in the season, but now that we've gone out with a full launch to players both in the US and in Europe and around the rest of the globe, it's been a really easy transition for those types of players to move into 716 MB. Yeah,
cool, excellent. Okay, now I haven't got, or I've seen it, but I haven't got the TMBs yet. Now, a few people are confused, I think, with these. So in the UK, it's 5 iron to 2 iron, I think.
Yeah, for us, this is a utility iron. This is a long iron replacement. So 2 iron, 3 iron, 4 and 5 are the only ones that we're going to make available. They do sell them as a full set in Japan, and the US are going to make it available through their new made-only-to-order Moto shop.
Yeah, I saw that.
For now, at least, this is purely a long iron replacement. It's a fantastic product. It's so easy to hit, so easy to get up in the air. Like AP1, AP2 and CB, it incorporates a lot of tungsten. It has about 85 grams of tungsten placed in the heel and toe. It's a cast product, so it's a two-piece construction. It's got the big cavity head, put the tungsten heel and toe, and then weld on the face insert. But it's so easy to get up in the air because the MOI properties of where they are. It's easy to get in the air. We've actually been able to strengthen the locks a little bit on this, so it's really, really long. And it's a great alternative to players who perhaps struggle with some of their long irons, which is probably a good lead-in for the reason for the new hybrids.
Yeah, so if we go on to the new hybrids then, and I have hit these and I've incorporated them in all my reviews, well, of the AP1 and the AP2 reviews I've done, I've incorporated these clubs in to show people why. I mean, I've got 2 hybrids, Richard. I'm a hybrid player. I stop at a 5 iron. And it makes total sense to me why you have realigned the launch of these. I think it makes total sense. There'll be a few people out there who'll be a bit upset though, because obviously if they've just bought their hybrid, You know, it's there's always going to be a bit of that in golf club purchasing. But I mean, to have a hybrid to not release with an iron, in my mind, makes no sense at all.
Yeah, I mean, we really want to get the message across to retailers, to custom fitters, and ultimately to consumers that they shouldn't just go out and buy a new set of irons. They should look at their set composition. They should try and understand how well they hit their long irons, because tour players of 165 mile an hour driver speed will lose a little bit of distance gapping as they get into the long irons.
Yeah.
You take the average consumer who swings it nowhere near that speed, those gaps might come to the point where the 4-iron is actually really doing the same job as the 5-iron.
Yeah.
And for those players, they've probably got clubs in their bag that just aren't doing anything for them. So we want players to really look at the long game, and for us, this is the right way to go. Launch irons and hybrids together, drivers and fairways together. We'll return back to a 2-year life cycle from now, but for us, being able to make some improvements to the 816 series of hybrids, get the message across to start thinking about the full set composition. Instead of looking at hybrids as a rescue type product, get you out of trouble, look at them as a scoring opportunity.
Yeah, I agree.
Take aim at the flag, and
yeah.
That's what we're going to do. That's why we've changed the lofts on these and gone with 2-degree increments.
Yeah.
It's why we've changed the SureFit Tour hosel mechanism purely on the hybrid to go with 1-degree increments, so that we can do a simple fitting story for players that gets them into the right product.
Fantastic.
And we're pretty excited by this hybrid. We've made some subtle changes to the products themselves, so they're going to launch a little bit higher than 915, still maintain the speed, the low spin that we've got out of the ARC technology and the thin face design.
Yeah.
But these are going to give you the performance that the players of this ilk, whether they're more of a sweeper, they probably benefit more from the H1.
Yeah, which I do.
Type player, maybe an iron type player benefits more with a little bit of offset in the H2.
Yeah, absolutely. And I found that with the two. I'm a H1 player all day long. I like my hybrid, but I like to be able to sweep it up in the air as well as knock it down. But my standard shot would be to knock it up. And the H2 to me feels a fraction too much like a iron rather than a hybrid. I like the H1 a bit more for me. But I am verging on I'm right between a AP1 player, AP2. If I was to game your irons, that's where I would be, which is why I think the H1 suits me a bit better.
Yeah. And the key thing really is that a hybrid's advantage over a long iron is because of the type of product they are. You've got a deep CG, it's going to make it more forgiving.
Yeah.
You've got the longer length from the graphite shafts. You've got bulge and roll within them.
Yeah.
You're going to get more speed.
So roll and bulge.
You're going to get more spin. Absolutely.
Roll and bulge on a long iron, obviously, which isn't there. But if you put I've got two hybrids which basically act as kind of 5-iron, 4-iron, 3-iron, 2-iron almost kind of combos between them. I love having roll and bulge on those longer clubs. I miss the centre of the face more. That roll and bulge helps me. I had a lesson today and he was stopping at a 5-iron, but he had a very strong hybrid and he didn't hit it because it was too strong a lofted for him. He'd brought his hybrid with his driver. He hadn't brought his hybrid with his irons. He'd done it like most people do. They buy a driver and then in the last 5 minutes of the fit they say, oh, should I get a hybrid as well? That's just not a way to buy a hybrid, in my opinion. You've got, if you're going for your custom fit, like you say, and it's an hour or however long it is, the irons and the hybrids are going to become your set, in my opinion, so you should be doing them all together. So it makes total sense.
The SureFit Tour is so powerful for us because you can match the lie angle with your hybrid where there's obviously more curve interaction.
Yeah.
Because we've gone with 2-degree increments, with 5 lost, 19 through 27, you can pair them up nice and easy. It could be a 19 and a 23, could be a 21 and a 25, you could do a triplet. It works really well. It's a great and easy story to tell. But the key is for people to look at the long end of the set and understand what's going to work better for them. Is it a 4-iron or is it perhaps a hybrid? Maybe it's a couple of hybrids. Yeah,
absolutely. Good stuff. Well, there we go, Richard. I'm quite excited about the new range. I think...
Yeah, we are. We're only a few weeks away now from the product getting in store, 23rd of October.
Is that when it hits stores in the UK? Is that UK or worldwide hit of stores?
That's a worldwide launch date.
Yeah, okay.
So for us, we try and keep everything worldwide. But
yeah.
There'll be products in our fitting accounts early in October, and our national fitting centres will be able to take are taking appointments for early October. So, yeah, we're very excited. There's been a lot of buzz, obviously, that the embargo lifted yesterday, and it's great to see all the stuff that's out there.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, there you go. Thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
I'll let you get back to your football or start your football at some point, and I hope the team that you want to win wins. Old Lockie's there, actually. He's watching. Old Matt,
okay.
he's actually...
I hope he's supporting the right team.
Yeah. Well, everyone who watches know what teams he's supporting, but we'll leave that one there for the moment, I think. Thanks for your time, Richard, and I'll speak to you soon. I'm sure I haven't seen you for a bit, but good to catch up again, and we'll speak to you soon.
All right, see you soon.
See you later. Cheers, mate. Bye. There we go, guys. Richard talking Titleist. Yeah, I'm interested with the range for definite. We've got some questions from, well, the chat's going, Twitter's going, which I'm just about to refeature. We're going to take some questions, but before we do, I've got a couple of fun pictures. I always like you guys to get involved, and girls who send pictures through. So we've actually got a picture here from Lockie with the hashtag VIP My Lounge. He's in the VIP lounge watching the Arsenal and Tottenham game at White Hart Lane. Lockie loves a freebie. If it's free and it's nice, Lockie's there. Anything you've got free, just send it to Lockie. He'll wear it, he'll ride on it, he'll go to it. He loves a freebie. And then we got a pro who watches, who I think had just started teaching or just finished teaching, Gareth Graham. Great picture, Gareth. Thanks for sending. Look at that. That's what we love. If you're going to take a selfie, you have to make sure it's a daft one, don't you? That's the rules of selfie. If you try and do a good one, you just look daft, so you might as well do a daft one, I always think. Great pictures, guys. Right, so let's delve into some questions then. We had throughout the day people posting questions. So I'm going to go from Alan Moore here on Twitter, hashtag AGG Live, which is the hashtag to use. Why is it difficult for higher handicappers to hit blades? I've tried APs a few times and they don't work for me. Well, APs, Alan, aren't the blades, but I understand people in Titleist have 4 models, they do get a bit mixed up. The reason it's harder to hit the blades, it's not that it's harder to hit, it's just if your strike pattern is across the face, so if your strike pattern is not always right in the middle bit or the effective sweet spot, which is going to be close to geometric middle on an iron because you've got less of an effective sweet spot because the CG's on the face basically, or very close to. As soon as you move away from that high and low, there is literally nothing there to help you. You've got a bit of muscling, so no extra weight off the face to stop the club doing all this, which can lose energy, move direction a fraction, and change spins on the ball fraction as well, depending on where the CG is on the club. So it's your striking away from the middle and the no support compared to the opposite end of the spectrum, like an AP1, where the weight's nowhere near the face. Undercut cavity, so they pull the weight off the face and put it to the outside. Think of the old-fashioned tightrope walkers who used to have the big long sticks to balance. What happens for them is they are using that stick to try and balance them because it's harder to move it left and right, so it's harder to move them off balance, basically. So it's your strike which is really going to be letting you down on those, which is making it the lesser support off the face is going to make them harder to hit. A couple of questions here. Andy Evans, again on Twitter. Would you game any of these irons? AGG Live. Would I game any of these irons? Yeah, I could absolutely game AP1, AP2, no problem. I could absolutely easily bag them. They look good, they feel good. I like the way Titleist are pretty true in their marketing message and in their kind of morals of what they're trying to do within golf is always something I quite respect. Absolutely could game them. I have my preferences, as you know, which is why I don't. But if I had to, no problem gaming them. Why do players make the game harder by using blades, especially amateurs? Ronnie Carlton. Good question, Ronnie. Why do amateurs make it harder by using blades? I don't know. Sometimes it's cost, sometimes it's kind of eBay-ish purchases, maybe just getting a set of irons. They know that Titleist is a brand that's respected and well made, and there might be lots of these flying around. They just buy a Titleist club and end up with them. And some people, it's looks. I have taught some golfers who want to look down at that, even though their strike pattern suggests they should look down at that, with the weight of the head and the thicker top line. So you've got to work into this people's opinion on what they are wanting to look at, what they're wanting to gain, what they're wanting to actually put down by the ball. That has to play a part when it comes to joining or picking golf clubs. Why amateurs choose them? I would always try and steer them away if I can. Another great question here. 28ST Golfer said, "Hi, I'm a high handicapper. I play ping G25s. I'm in love with the AP16, AP1. Should I make the change?" Well, the thing that any decent pro hopefully would tell you is go and try them. Loads of places to go and try AP1 when it releases, like Richard was saying there, fitting centres and the like, lots of carts around the land. AP1, you're going to get a similar top line looking to G30. You're going to get a kind of slightly prettier head in the chrome finish, not quite so kind of triangular and thick-soled as G25, I would argue. So you are going to get maybe that more loving look that you want. And like I said on the prior question, that look can count for so much. Go and try them. MOI over G25 to this, I think there's not going to be much in it. Mizuno make very high MOI irons. They're very good at that, always have been. With the tungsten weights on this, they might have pushed a few marks above G25, but it wouldn't be measurable by you, to be honest. I think it's going to build down to that look, acoustic sound as you hit it, feel. Go and try them. Definitely it would be a decent switch, but G25 is a good iron. Martin Laver has asked on Facebook, here's one MC. Are irons subject to the same design limitations imposed by drivers? What changes can manufacturers make to really make them different from the next manufacturer? That is a great question, and I've said it before, everything in golf is controlled. Everything from your tees to your shoes, everything is controlled. There are limits on everything and tolerances, and everything's got to go through the governing bodies. What you got to remember with irons, if you look at the range of 4 irons here, so AP1 tries to push MOI properties, but then might lack in some spin properties to getting it to stop the other end. I mean, it spins much higher than most game improvement irons, but it's raising MOI, and then you're not going to spin that club off the face maybe as much as the MB blade, but the MB blade's going to lose in the MOI massively over AP1. So they're actually playing within limitations, and lots of the times they're coming away from limitations. Very hard to build a club that goes to limitations of every aspect of the limitations. I guess it's almost physically impossible, actually. So it's about playing with the looks, the sound, the styling, and then building within those limitations. But you can't, if you're going to say MOI, spin rate, launch rate, ball speed, you can't max them all, because the design properties of where you put CGs and what have you, high and low on the face to get launch, then affects the spin. Do you see where I'm going? So yes, they are all there's limitations. They do make it's really little changes each year, but over a time, I think golfers will see a bit of a change. You've got to remember the buying patterns of people who've got 714 AP1. There'll be a group who want the new one, and that's great. Go out and get them. But manufacturers will be looking at buying patterns, and I'm sure it's longer than 12 months or 18 months. It's probably 2 to 4 years, I think, is average. So you're actually skipping 2 models as a general rule. Sometimes as well, just changing clubs, just a different look, a different feel can do as good as any of the kind of data and the numbers and the limitations out there as well, which is what I kind of say in all my reviews. The feel and the looks of it come down to as much as anything else. And then we had another question here saying, I'm sure it's been asked before, this is Mike on Twitter, been asked before, how often should consumers buy new sets of clubs? Is the new tech worth it? AP my 2. Love the hashtag. So there's an interesting question, and to be honest with you, it's almost the same as the last one, isn't it? It's more to do, that new purchase is going to come down to those feels. How often should you change? When I was competing and playing, I wouldn't change my clubs hardly ever, hardly at all. I got used to the patterns with certain ones, and I wouldn't want to change them. So it's a personal preference. I would change them again much more on the kind of ideas of those feels rather than the physical. There wasn't the data around when I was looking, so it's going to be much more on those feels for me. And so if I'm having a bad patch, I'm going to search for some help. I'm going to search for some looking, search for some club that just looks the way I want it to look, to give me some confidence. I'm trying to find something from somewhere. So it can be that as much as it can be the tech as such. So we've got the live chat going on. Let's see. I love going into the live chat because often they're just talking about, I don't know, is it raining out there? So let's see if anyone's got a question. Any AP2 questions out there which are worth answering, or Titleist questions out there. I've had a lesson well worth it from Darren Brown. You play, okay, well worth it, Jonathan. I can imagine. Most gone up a couple of degrees. Don't know what that means. Let's see if I can find a question here on the chat. No, most gone up, so I'm not quite. Here you go. I'm still using AP2 710s, as I also prefer how they look to the 716. So there you go. That goes straight. Who's asking that? Ash EB. Going back to the question about when should I change, isn't it? He's going much more on his looks, and I would trust that all day long. Here we go. Mojo072, Mark, or anyone. I'm a high handicap player, 21.7, so 22 handicapper, and I play with ping S56. Would you recommend for me to change my irons to something more forgiving? More forgiving. Good question, and an interesting question. I always say in my reviews, that's a good question as well. AD737, we'll come to that one. I've had lessons and players who hit a more bladed iron because they actually strike their irons quite well, and that's not why they're off a high handicap. They're off a high handicap because they can't control the curvature of their ball. They strike it well, so they can use that better player's iron that he's saying. To be honest with you, I think for people who are always looking to improve, certainly amateurs who maybe don't have the time to dedicate to improving like a pro, maybe it is worth trying to just maximize your MOIs and bits like that as much as you can for someone who's hitting all off the face. If you're a 21 handicapper and you're using a lot of the face, which lots will be, I would definitely, if money was no object, think about trying to get you to higher that MOI, just to offer as much help as possible. Why give that away, basically, which is kind of what Richard was saying that the tour pros are looking at doing as well. AD737, is stopping distance a problem with AP1? No, I found it was okay for a slightly stronger lofted iron with those kind of game improvement, fast ball speed advertising. It is spinning quite well, certainly not as low as some others. If you want the ball spinning more, you're definitely going to need to come down in kind of towards your blades and what have you. But I get better height with AP1 than I do on the blade. So what I lose in a bit of spin, I might gain in a bit of land angle. Again, it's up to you to go and test, which one might perform best for you, really. Okay, there was another good question there. Heli Trot Guy, Titleist versus Mizuno, what do you think? Good question. Both good clubs, both worth a try, both relatively honest in what they're about, aren't they? So, I like that. Matt Parcell, Mark, I think I'm stalking you still after that lesson. You are stalking me. It is very hard to get a lesson with me. That's why he keeps asking that. Okay, Mark, what is your opinion on the RSI 2 versus the 716 CB? They are the same target market. Chris Jones. That's a very good question, Chris. Not much in those. I think the CB would win on looks for me. TaylorMade irons sometimes get a little bit long in the blade length. But the performance of both of those are going to be very, very similar. Worth a try. I would be going much more on the looks and the feel for those two. I think actual physical numbers, you'd struggle to see much of a difference in those two. Right, guys, I'm going to do two more questions. If you're enjoying the live feed, remember to hit that thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, everyone. If you're watching back on the playback, not live, you can do it. If you're watching it live when it finishes, if you can't get to that thumbs up button, do. If you're watching this video and you don't subscribe to my channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on when these go live, and you keep up to date with the many, many other videos that I'm posting. Lots of people asking me at the minute for the course vlog. When's the next course vlog coming? I've got one already ready to go. It's not the world's best course vlog, but it's with Andrew Murray, who's an ex-Tour Pro, won European Masters, I think it was, at Walton Heath. It was fun. He was a great guy to play with, really nice, good fun. Me and Rory, but we're playing in a tournament, so it's a little bit more just us playing than any of the kind of fun chats that we get with a normal team. And me and Picard and Buzzman and Coach Lockie are playing this Friday as well, filming, so that should be fun also. So hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you don't to my channel already. Let's go 2 more questions. Can I find any good ones? Who wants the last 2 questions? Do you still believe that shaft, type, flex, weight makes no difference to performance with irons? TC Chad TX. Weight makes a difference. Flex makes next to no difference apart from feel. Weight, I've never said that weight never makes a difference. I've always stated that weight actually does make a difference because it makes a physical difference to the speed and how you deliver the club. Flex makes next to no difference, certainly in an iron, but a great way to misinterpret a series of 6 videos like lots of people do when you talk about shaft, because it's like telling them Santa isn't real. Let's go into the live Twitter then, see if I can find a question. Thinking of going, here's a good question. Let's see if I can capture this question here. There we go. Thinking of going the 4 hybrid route, will I notice a big difference versus the 4 iron? That is the last question of tonight. It's a great question. I noticed a massive difference. I used Game Golf to help me understand that my kind of 180 to 210 yardage was not strong enough. I wasn't hitting enough greens. Taken the 4 iron out. I took a 3 iron out. I've taken the 4 iron out now as well, and I'm using a 23 degree hybrid, my rinky dinks, and my stats and that distance have just rocketed up so much better. I can hit a 23 degree hybrid, which basically I can hit kind of 180 to 209, 210, anywhere in between. I can get the ball stopping on a green. I've done videos on this because it's coming in so much higher height. Got the roll and bulge on it, which is what Richard was saying there with their why they're aligning their hybrids with their irons a bit as well. So that's this curvature of the face, so it rolls and bulges. It's not flat, that face, it curves basically to try and help the off-center hit still hit target. So I'm loving that in my longer stuff, and I'm also loving the fact that I can move it such different distances from 180 to 209. It makes a huge difference. My 4 iron, I struggle to get it up in the air, so what happens is I don't land it well the other end. It runs through the green. I can't get it to stop, and so I start playing it differently to try and hit it high. Made a massive difference to my game. And the amount of students that I talk to and work with, and we talk in this area of the bag, it's always an area that I had a student today that I think you can just improve massively on through knowledge. So many people don't put any knowledge into their hybrids, which I think is why it's such a great lesson or message from Titleist, the way they're lining that up to their irons, even though they're going to upset a few people because the other one's only been out a year. That's very unlike them because they stick to their kind of 2-year, 18-month cycles very consistently. There you go. AGG Live, as always, fun, lovely to see, active audience, and on Twitter. I love doing these. Got big plans for the shows. They're moving forward or getting more special guests. Got some other great ideas around them which are coming soon. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button, as I keep saying. Post comments as well on the video. If you're watching it on the playback, still post comments. I see them coming in. I'll try and answer them as well after. Thanks to everyone who comes and joins the chat, comes on Twitter, posts on Facebook. Hit the thumbs up. Thanks for Richard as well. Richard's working for Titleist, so he's going to give you the Titleist spiel, but he was talking some sense there as well, and that's what I think I like about Titleist. They give you the spiel, but they also talk a bit of sense in it as well, which is nice from a golf company. Thanks for watching, everyone. Back soon with another AGG Live, like the sign says. Speak to you soon. Thanks for watching.